There's some very early neurological research that suggests that when we're born, we have these motorways in our brains that are connected to our larynx, that are connected to these primal sounds. This is how babies communicate to their carers their needs. And anybody who's ever spent any time in a room with a baby knows they can make a lot of very dramatic sound. But apart from that, human babies aren't very clever. I mean, a baby hippopotamus can swim very gracefully away from its mother. A baby human can't even hold up its own head. And that's interesting because we had to develop some way of communicating our needs. And I think primal sound is really key here. Because the sounds are so instinctive and because they're survival dependent, we have these motorways in our brain and we never lose them. This is hardwired into our mechanism. And I find that that's exactly why when you get a singer to start using sound in that context, they get these wonderful postural, respiratory, and larynx responses that are very reflexive, and they come out very, very efficiently. And you can problem solve vocal technique trouble like that. I mean, it can be really, really instantaneous just by changing the context. And the reason that is, we think, is because we have an old part of our brain in our limbic system, which is responsible for things like emotion and memory, which lights up when we make these kind of sounds. As we learn to adapt things and we learn fine motor control, there's another part of the brain which starts to take over. It's a much more intellectual process. But I think that human singers have a tendency to get a little interfering with their technique. It can get pretty vain sometimes. And through, interesting teaching or whatever, they find ways to actually shortcut the system and actually get in their own way so that their production isn't reflexive and it isn't efficient as it probably could be. And that's why I find that primal sound is a great way of just reconnecting those hardwired noises, those reflexes, those very efficient, emotionally driven noises that really make maximum impact when you align them with the emotive and the interpretive connections back into the lyrics and the music that the singing is a part of.